My name is Ibrahim Anoba. I'm the acting executive director of African Liberty Organization for Development. I'm from Nigeria. Well, my question is, I kind of appreciate the fact that you think it's quite necessary to have innovative strategy towards African development. But one thing I think the World Bank groups and other institutions often forget is we tend to get overwhelmed by the moral commitment towards Africa such that we kind of forget the long-term impact of our actions. For instance, look back at the 1970s, 1980s, when the World Bank Group, the IMF, and other institutions were giving a lot of money to Africa for agricultural development and infrastructure. What that eventually led to was a decade of deficit, economic disincentive, corruption in Africa, which still on the continent till today. And if we are seeing another need for a technological innovation towards development in Africa, and we're giving tech aid or tech financial assistance to the continent, does the World Bank have a very strong strategy to ensure that this aid or this form of assistance, whatever means it is, will not lead to further economic mishaps for the continent, but directly go into...
What was the question? Does the World Bank what?
Does the World Bank have a very concrete strategy that's going to ensure that the tech aid or tech assistance that's going to Africa or sub-Saharan Africa will eventually propel economic development rather than cause economic mishaps?
So, economic mishaps, and you talked about corruption. I think it's hard to suggest that the World Bank Group created corruption in Africa. I think it was in existence not only in Africa, but every country in the world long before the World Bank came in. And we really are very committed to trying to fight corruption. My answer is I hope we don't create more problems. The question I'm asking now, though, is in our current strategy, are we creating problems? Now, the World Bank Group has changed a lot since the days when I called for the closing of the World Bank Group. Now, we listen much, much more to the leaders. But, the thing I worry about is the leaders are saying, we want to prepare for industrialization. And I don't see evidence that industrialization is going to come to most of Africa, right? I just don't see it. I just think that automation, artificial intelligence is going to move in industrialization to the places that have the capital to be able to pay for it. So I think that this is an important conversation that we're starting right now. And, often we find ourselves arguing with leaders in Africa because leaders in Africa are saying, no, we believe that industrialization is going to come to Africa, so we want you to build the grids and the roads and the special economic zones for manufacturing to come to Africa. And I think now we're being forced to say, I don't think that's going to happen. So now one of the great things about the World Bank is it changes over time, and it changes with evidence, and it changes with critique. And so we're now very much engaged in a conversation with African leaders, but we're finding that we're having to provide information about the potential for industrialization that the leaders don't want to hear. I just think the